How I became homeless in my first year of uni. Well,
Run a man down, got deja vu. Part two. Lean out the ride and shoot, now they're brethren. Tell me who's on who, putting ups on suits. It ain't us.
hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to my video. If you're new, welcome. My name is Texa. So yeah, let's get into the video. So as you can see in the title, yeah, so when I went to uni, it was a bit of a hectic one. I decided to just talk about it because I don't know, like when you go to uni, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that you don't realize, and because it's first experience, it gets a bit hectic. So I just thought, you know what, let me just provide some information, provide my experiences on my channel, and yeah. So how I became homeless in my first year of uni. Well, I actually did have a place to stay at the beginning. So first of all, I didn't really have the cash, I didn't really have the money to rent an accommodation at the time, just because I decided to go uni a bit late. So I went through clearing, so I decided to go uni a bit late, so I wasn't really planning like that. Like I just thought, yeah, like I'm going to uni, that's that, like nothing more, nothing less. So it was one of them ones where it's like, okay, cool, where am I gonna stay? And then also that year, because it was 2019, so that year I was traveling a lot. I went to, not a lot, but I went to France for a week, I went to Portugal for 2 weeks, and I came back and it was already September. So I didn't really have enough time to be looking for places and to feel comfortable. You know how people just go to uni around middle of August? I didn't have time for that. I was going at the end of September basically. So I just, yeah, it was all rushed. Yeah, so I didn't really have money for accommodation, and my mum was kind of like helping me look for a place to stay as well. And through links, you know, friend from another friend, oh yeah, I know someone that is renting a room and they need someone. Yeah, so basically that's how I found my first place to stay. Yeah, so when we moved, it was pretty cheap. I wasn't paying high prices for my accommodation. I was literally paying less than £300 a month, and that's great, like great for a room. So yeah, I was paying that much. It was great, but I wasn't really staying there. I was actually staying with my friend most of the time. I was staying with my friend. She lived in a room. The accom wasn't even that great, but we made it work. Like I would cook, clean like it was my house, and she would obviously cook, clean because it's her room. Yeah, so we were just out and about. I was at hers all the time, you know, it was just great vibes. And me and her were sisters, like, so it wasn't out of the usual. It's not like I was going up to a friend that I didn't know. I've known this girl for 5 years, 6 years now. So yeah, we were like sisters now. So yeah, obviously December came and everyone was going back to London, you know, Christmas and stuff. But I was staying in Leicester because I was working. I had a temporary job at the time, so I was working. There was times that I was going back home, getting changed, but then also bringing my clothes to my friend's house, or friend's accommodation, and I would stay there for a week, then come back with clothes, wash my clothes, come back, do the whole process again. It was long, but I just didn't like the place I was staying at. Reason why I didn't like the place I was staying at is because First of all, it was basically a stranger. I didn't know the person that well. She had a kid, and so she was very OCD, as a mother would be. You get like, the kid was young. I have no problems with babies. I have no problems with toddlers. I love them to bits. So that for me was not a problem. It was just everything had to be extreme. I couldn't cook like the time that I wanted. I needed to cook like a specific time. I couldn't shower comfortably. I literally had to shower, then wash the tub after use, do the same thing with the toilet. And I had curfew as well, so I had to be back before 10, and because she would lock the doors, and if she locked the doors, there's no way of getting in. That's it. And then in the morning, because sometimes she had college, she was doing a course. You know, sometimes they have adult courses. Yeah, she was doing a course, so she would wake up very early and stuff, but because the walls were very thin, I couldn't be chilled in my own room. So I couldn't speak loud, and I'm a very loud speaker, especially when I'm speaking to my friends. So yeah, that was annoying. And another thing that really annoyed me as well was the fact that service was so bad. I had to FaceTime everyone. I had to FaceTime, WhatsApp, video call everyone, because there was no service in that place. It was just hectic. Yeah. So those are the bad sides of that room, but yeah, I made it work, kind of. Yeah, so then January now, I always thought, you know what, I'm gonna get an accommodation by January, because I don't want to stay here. I just wanted to stay here to save money and to have a place to stay for the time being, but I know I was gonna move. So January, I started looking for people that had accommodations but wanted to move out, or you know, places that needed someone to stay and stuff like that. I was looking for places like that. And on Facebook, I don't have Facebook like that, but my friend, the girl that I was staying with, she has Facebook, and she was in a group chat on Facebook with people that needed a couple of stuff. You know how people sometimes help each other. Yeah, so I found this girl. She seemed really cool, and she was living in an accommodation, but she wasn't there. She was in her area, and she rented the room because she thought she was gonna study, but she ended up not studying, so she was just paying for accommodation that she wasn't actually staying at. Yeah, so I was trying to get everything ready. I had the money sorted. Yeah, I was just waiting for the documentation. I was waiting for the keys. I was waiting for the, you know, the thumbs up when they're like, yeah, you can come in now. This is your house. This is your room. You are going to stay here comfortably. I was waiting for that basically. And it was such a long process because I found her in January, and I was waiting weeks upon weeks. Oh, have you spoken to the com? Oh, not yet. Blah, blah. More time, she wasn't paying her rent. So she kind of had a bad reputation in the accommodation. And obviously, when accommodation knows that you're bad and then you're trying to replace someone, they automatically think that the person that you're replacing, they are bad as you or will be as bad as you because you guys are associated. And I didn't know the girl, so that was not the case for me. But it came to February now. She gave me the keys and she was like, yeah, you know, the room's here, but we just need to sort out the contract. I was like, cool, innit? Like, whatever. Rang my mum now, and my mum, and she was like, yeah, that's great. We were both excited. So I went to go tell the person that I was staying with originally, and she started getting really rude, like, you had to pay extra. Not that I had to pay extra, but she thought that I needed to pay for January or for February, but I pay in advance because, let me explain. So when I moved in September the 20th, right? And I paid that day. So I paid from September the 20th to October the 20th, and then 20th was always going to be the payment. So I was paying ahead, not behind. But when I told her that I was moving out, I found a place now, she was like, okay, you now need to pay for the month of January. Do you get it? Not for the month of February. And it was like a back and forth. And then I was like, you know what? You had the contract, like you spoke to my mum because my mum found you. So speak to her basically. And so when she spoke to my mum, she didn't even speak to my mum, but she got rude to my mum, kind of. And my mum didn't like her attitude. So my mum called me, she was like, you know what, like, I don't even want you to be there anymore. Like, just get your stuff and go. Like, you have a place now, get your stuff and go. So that day, not even that day, but I feel like that week or that day or the day that I was arranging to move, I picked up my stuff and I went. I also had friends that helped me, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you so much. Yeah, we booked a cab and we got all my stuff and went. But then the security guards or the accommodation found out that obviously I was trespassing because the contract wasn't done. And as much as I told the accommodation that I was going to be the one to take over, they had no documentation or no records that I was being the one to take over the tenancy after that. So they found a new person and they personally took my stuff and her stuff that was there, because she was taking out stuff, but she left a couple of stuff there. So they took everything that was in the accommodation, or the things that they saw, because everything was mixed up. But yeah, took all my stuff and they put it in like the basement. And I had, like, a couple of days after, I had to now go pick up the stuff with her. It was a nonsense. So I didn't have enough space to have my stuff in my friend's accommodation. So I had to kind of like separate my stuff a bit. So that was a whole nother story. But thankfully I have all my stuff now, so that's not really a problem. But yeah, so then I had to now permanently move with my friend. So even though it was heartbreaking because I had no space for myself, and it's funny to say that because when people go to uni, people tend to be lonely, people tend to get bored, you know, they have their own space but they have no one to speak to, you know, certain things like that. But for me, I had the company, I had this, you know, I was able to socialize with my friend, go out when I wanted to, we were always together. Like I had that, but at the same time I didn't have a bed to call my own. I didn't have, like, you know, there was only one key, so I always had to wait at the library, always had to wait elsewhere, go to the city centre, come back, and she's in lecture or seminar, I had to wait. And at the time it was winter time, it was really cold, it was January, February, so it got dark quick, things like that. And things like, oh, I was hungry, I couldn't go home because I also paid for food in the accommodation, in her accommodation, so I couldn't eat my own food when I wanted to. I just had to wait, I had to be patient. So I had to really mentally prepare myself for that situation, because no one really goes through that. So yeah, and then came to March now. March, I had an altercation with my friend, and then and there I was like, you know, I was at the library and I was like, you know what, I've had enough, I'm gonna find an accommodation. There and then I found an accommodation. I remember this so clearly. I found accommodation, rang up the accom. They were like, yeah, okay, cool, sort out your guardian paperwork. Called my mum, called my dad, sorted out the situation. The next weekend, because I think I did it during the week or on a Friday, the next weekend I already had the keys. Perfect, great. Moved all my stuff there. And then this was at the beginning of March. Now, it was all great because I had my comm, I paid for everything because like I said, I had the money there and done, because I'm okay with savings. Like, I don't spend my money like no man's business. So everything was Gucci, but COVID happened, and March the 16th, uni closed. March the 20th, everything was closing. March the 30th latest, I was coming back to London. So the money I spent on a comm was kind of wasted because I was there for a month. And you know how comm, I was there for 2 weeks. After a week, you can't get your refund. So because you could say, oh, I don't really like the place, I'm moving out kind of thing. They could be like, okay, cool, fair enough, take your money and go. But I couldn't do that because I was already there for 2 weeks. And so it was gutted because I spent money for no reason. You know, if I didn't have that altercation with my friend, I probably would have saved money. Yeah, I did save a lot of money not paying for accommodation for the whole year, basically. But I did spend a little bit. So, yeah. So that is basically the story of how I was homeless for my first year. But I still managed to survive, become healthy. So your girl is still here. And you know, it's a lesson learned. Make sure you're prepared at the beginning of uni year. Make sure you plan, you know, make sure you're comfortable as well, because it's all due to comfortability. I was comfortable with my friend, but at the same time we both needed our space. So, you know, yeah. But anyways, I hope you liked this video or this story time. Make sure you comment, like and subscribe and put a bell in it. And yeah, see you in the next one.